The dawning of a new decade comes with an increase in age-old hatred.
If someone's coming into your shul with a machete, intending to do harm.
Anti-Semitic attacks on the rise around the nation. Northern California faith leaders asking the community to answer racism in any form with understanding, solidarity, and action.
If one of us is unsafe, none of us are safe. That's how I feel.
And 7,000 miles away, one of the congregation Temple B'nai Israel's revered Torahs is trapped in the hands of Western Wall authorities and a fight for women's rights. Tonight, in a special presentation of Project Community, Standing United. Thank you for joining us. I'm Lisa Gonzalez. A new year, a new decade, and the new challenges we collectively face. During Hanukkah, New York was ground zero for a rash of anti-Semitic attacks. Those acts of violence felt right here in Northern California. And tonight, community leaders from all faiths are standing up to hate. This is how one New York Jewish community is answering recent anti-Semitic attacks. On Wednesday, they invited a former member of the elite Israeli Defense Forces to lay out self-defense options.
If someone's coming into your shul with a machete, intending to do harm, he's not the gardener who's trying to trim the shrubs. He's someone who's intending to kill and maim with that machete. You intend to neutralize that threat.
It's a growing trend among places of worship across the nation. People of all faiths hiring armed security and creating volunteer security teams. It comes on the heels of more than a dozen anti-Semitic attacks in New York during Hanukkah, a troubling trend backed by numbers. In 2019, there were 234 anti-Semitic incidents reported in New York versus 186 incidents in 2018. Nationwide, hate crimes jumped 20% in 2019. Willie Recht with the Jewish Federation of the Sacramento region. Rather than back down, the Jewish community is standing up to hate.
What's been inspiring is that it would be easy to close up. It would be easy to pull the blinds down, close shop, not do anything. But in fact, we've seen the opposite. You know, just on Sunday, there was a huge march put on by the Federation in New York that marched right down Manhattan. There was movements on social media, including Jewish and Proud by the AJC, and there was movements from multiple Jewish organizations across the country to encourage people on the last night of Hanukkah to put their full menorah, 8 candles lit, front and center, you know, in a window that is visible. And so that's been encouraging.
But the Jewish community does not stand alone.
If one of us is unsafe, none of us are safe. That's how I feel.
For Bassem Alkara with CARE, the Council on American Islamic Relations, being American means standing up for justice.
I mean, it goes back to, you know, after 9/11, where many in the civil rights community who happen to be Jewish were on the front lines of defending our community and supporting our community.
The organization has been holding training sessions teaching teens and young adults how to counter Islamophobia.
I don't pay attention to the perpetrator. I just come up to you, say, "Hey, Michelle, or, you know, how you doing? Good to see you. Why don't we go grab some coffee?" And a lot of times, and not paying attention to the perpetrator, a lot of times that will kind of confuse them a little bit. It's like, oh, okay, this person's friend is here. And a lot of times that could help stop an attack. Now, if someone has a gun, that's a whole different, you know, situation. You get to a safe place, you've got to call law enforcement immediately, and so that's the challenge that we're facing today.
It's a lesson shared with the greater community.
So we hope more young people have that mindset, and I think with these trainings, it does help people have that mindset to stop these incidents.
Community activist and senior pastor at South Sacramento Christian Center, Les Simmons, agrees.
I think we all have to call out hate crimes, and define it for what it is, and then continually lift up our values of love and support for one another, no matter what gender, no matter what sexual orientation you're of, no matter what religious tradition you practice. We can all call out hate, and we could all define what love is. Love is not violent. Love is not forceful. Love does not murder. Hate does.
The challenge for all faiths is keeping their doors open and keeping their congregants safe at the same time.
Our goal is to be inclusive, to be welcoming, and we'll continue to do that, right? While at the same time ensuring the safetyness of our congregation, of our congregants, of parishioners, ensuring the safetyness of those that serve on a daily basis in a lot of our facilities.
We checked with a number of faith-based organizations in the Sacramento area. All of them said their doors were open to anyone who wishes to enter. Most said they either have security or safety measures in place during services. Personal attacks motivated by bias or prejudice prejudice reached a 16-year high in 2018. But what constitutes a hate crime? Former Sacramento County Sheriff John McGinnis offers his insights into the legality of hate crimes.
I think tends to be a misnomer that there is this thing called a hate crime that standing on its own is criminal conduct. That's not the case. It's action that is criminal, already prohibited by statute, criminal conduct. But the motivation for carrying out that criminal act is an element of hatred towards a group of people.
When we break down the motivation behind these hate crimes, there's an apparent theme. 59% of the hate crimes in 2018 were focused on someone's race, ethnicity, or ancestry. 18% were focused on someone's religion, and 16% were focused on someone's sexual orientation. Now, beyond outside forces, there is division within Jewish religious movements. In Israel, an activist organization is fighting the ultra-Orthodox for equal prayer rights for women. Temple B'nai Israel's congregation in Sacramento supports Women of the Wall, and tonight, one of their own Torahs is caught up in the fight.
Enshrined at the head of B'nai Israel's temple sits the synagogue's Torah scrolls.
The Torah scroll is our most sacred object. It contains the first 5 books of the Bible.
But one of the spots is empty.
We had to build a special shelf for it.
Rudy's Torah, a 200-year-old scroll that survived Nazi Germany, is missing.
We have many Torahs at our synagogue, but this one, which we call Rudy's Torah, has a pretty rich history of its own, as do most, and it's from the 1800s. It was in a synagogue in Leipzig, Germany. And Rudy Michaels, who was a local attorney and administrative law judge in Sacramento, was born in Leipzig, Germany. He comes from a family of rabbis, so this Torah has been in their family for a long time. And he and his family escaped Germany in 1938.
His parents went to England. Rudy came to the U.S., where he joined the army and was one of the famed Ritchie Boys.
One of those people who could actually go and interrogate German prisoners of war. He spoke with a native German accent. And then he was very active in social issues, women's rights.
It's that passion for women's rights that inspired Rudy's family to share the Torah with a group called Women of the Wall. The organization is fighting for women's rights to pray aloud with Torah scrolls at the Western Wall in Jerusalem, in Hebrew known as the Kotel. Here in the dawn of 2020, the Wailing Wall is divided by men and women. On the men's side, Torahs are provided, but there are none for women, nor are they allowed to read from the Torah. So Women of the Wall started taking their own Torahs into the Kotel. And that's how Rudy's Torah got trapped in a tug of war between Jewish women activists and the ultra-Orthodox, who consider the women's actions offensive.
Shalom.
Anat Hoffman is the founding member of Women of the Wall. She gave us an update on Rudy's Torah from Israel.
The Torah scroll is held by the police, and since there are few police stations in Jerusalem, Jerusalem is the largest city in Israel, we don't know where and which police station it is. Why are you calling the police for a Torah scroll?
2 weeks ago, an Orthodox Jewish man helped Hoffman bring the Torah to the Western Wall to pray. It was taken by the Western Wall Authority.
We ran to take our Torah scroll back, and to our shock, we were made to sign a document saying, I, undersigned with my address and name and ID number, know that I brought the Torah scroll against regulations to the wall, and that is a way to desecrate the holiest site for the Jewish people. And if I do it ever again, I will be subject to the punishment of being banned from the Western Wall. Naturally, we were not willing to sign this document, and as a result, we were not given our Torah back.
And then they said several days passed without anyone claiming it, so the Torah scroll was transferred to the custody of the Israeli police, as with every lost and found object.
And since then, we've been trying to find, where is it?
Back in Sacramento, Rabbi Mona Alfie stands by the congregation's decision to loan the Women of the Wall the Torah.
No little girl, no woman has ever been given the same privilege to be able to be in the same sacred spot and to be able to read from the Torah. It makes me outraged that in the Jewish homeland, in the holiest spot for the Jewish people, women are treated like second-class citizens, that we're not treated equal to the men.
Divided by nearly 74,000 miles, Congregation B'nai Israel and Women of the Wall are united in the fight for all Jews to worship at the Western Wall with the Torah.
Yeah, it's crazy that in this day and age, women are still fighting for equality.
We resist. We say no. We are not willing to live a lifetime without Torah. We are bringing the Torah with us. That's why our friends, our brothers and sisters of B'nai Israel in Sacramento loaned us this Torah scroll. And this is a sacred object that belongs to them.
Both confident they will get Rudy's Torah back.
So I have no question that the Torah will come back to our arms. But next month, he's going to confiscate it again. This is a new tactic by the rabbi of the wall to stop us from being able to act like, to be adult Jews.
We will not take it back until they have access to the Torah scrolls at the Western Wall.
The Torah, telling the story of the Jewish people. Now this one has a story of its own. In Sacramento, Marlene Martinez.
In a press release, the Western Wall Heritage Foundation says the Torah scroll was smuggled into the Western Wall Plaza against regulations and has been transferred to Israeli police. Coming up, Sacramento is all too familiar with violence against religion and LGBTQ communities.
They should rest assured you can burn our structure, you can hurt us that way, but you can't hurt us as a people.
The crimes that shocked a nation that happened here in Sacramento and the legacy of people who united the community in the wake of those attacks. Welcome back to our Project Community special presentation. I'm Lisa Gonzalez. Sacramento is no stranger to anti-Semitic hate crimes. KCRA3's Gulston Dart takes us back 20 years ago when the city was at the center of one of the worst hate crimes in the country.
Worshippers who left 3 Sacramento synagogues, B'nai Israel, Congregation Beth Shalom, and Knesset Israel Torah Center on June 17, 1999, had no idea that the next morning, these same buildings would become the center of 2 men's hate that would spread through the buildings and end with the deaths of 2 men. Early in the morning on June 18th, 2 brothers, Benjamin Matthew Williams and Tyler Williams, set fires at the 3 synagogues.
There's no way to react to something like this, the kind of incredible sadness and sickness that there can be in the world.
By the time the fires were put out, there was nearly $3 million in damage, with the worst at B'nai Israel. Fortunately, no one was injured in the fire.
First thing I thought from the tone of voice of the person who said, "I've got to tell you something," was somebody must have died. And that's what it felt like, is that somebody died.
But that would change. The Williams brothers, described as white supremacists from the Redding area, later firebombed an abortion clinic, then killed a gay couple, Gary Matson and Winfield Mauder, in their home in rural Shasta County. The Williams were convicted of the killings and pled guilty to arson for the firebombings of all 3 synagogues and the clinic.
They should rest assured you can burn our structure, you can hurt us that way, but you can't hurt us as a people. You can't stop, you can't hurt us as a people. We've been a people for 4,000 years. We've weathered worse storms than this.
We're not going to live in a culture of fear. We're going to live in a culture of acceptance and tolerance, and we are going to fight hatred, because those books and everything that's burned in all 3 synagogues comes from hatred.
I have to tell them that I'm just awfully sorry because myself.
But instead of disrupting the community, the Williams firebombings did something else. They brought these 3 Jewish communities together with others. Following the attacks, thousands of people of all faiths gathered at the Sacramento Convention Center to support the Jewish and gay communities.
And we're not going to let this tear into the fabric of our community. Sacramento has been through tough times. before, and we'll do it again.
A show of unity that has grown over the decades.
That attack 20 years ago was the catalyst for this strong relationship between faith communities, between different communities, that has lasted and not only endured but strengthened over the past 20 years. If one of us is unsafe, none of us are safe.
For us, through history and through the firebombing that happened years ago, it's caused us to really have this come together kind of moment that when one portion of our community is hurting, all of our community is hurting.
The memory of the synagogue bombings lives on, but it is the actions of the entire community beyond the walls of the buildings themselves that is the true legacy from that day 20 years ago.
Matthew Williams was found dead of an apparent suicide in his prison cell in 2002. His brother Tyler is still in prison today. And even 20 years later, the synagogues continue to be vigilant and upgrade security for their worshipers. New York, New Jersey, even attacks at a mosque in Christchurch, New Zealand. Are we seeing more crimes centered on hate? And what can places of worship do about it? We convene a panel to talk about the latest attacks and what happens next. The increase in violent attacks is top of mind for more than just one community. KCRA3's Ty Steele spoke with leaders from the Jewish, Muslim, African American, and law enforcement communities to get a feel for what the response to the rise in hate is and is not in Sacramento.
Here with insights and perspective on our topic of hate crimes in America is our discussion panel today. Willie Recht with the Jewish Federation of Sacramento, Bassem El-Kar from the Council on American Islamic Relations, Pastor Les Simmons, and former Sacramento County Sheriff John McGinnis. Thank you all for being here today.
Thank you for having us.
Really appreciate it. Willie, let's start with you and talk about the new numbers out by the FBI talking about hate crimes in America over the last 3 years. They say those numbers are stagnant, but the level of violence, that has risen. What's your take on those new stats?
I think the numbers are shocking, and it's no surprise that there has been an increase in hate crimes, an increase in specific attacks on the Jewish community, anti-Semitic attacks, communities of color, and for the Jewish community, unfortunately, it's not new to us. I mean, we've been working with the FBI for years, way before Tree of Life Synagogue, which did change things in many ways. You know, we held community-wide screenings with all the congregations, with different organizations prior to the high holidays to prepare for these attacks. God forbid they were to happen.
It's actually worse than it was post 9/11. And especially it was right around the time 2015 when Trump's campaign kicked off, and the rhetoric against our community, and then later on we saw another spike after the Muslim ban. And so unfortunately, you know, in 2020 we're here, the election season, and so unfortunately our community and other communities are going to be targets of the president.
Yeah, that election is coming soon. And from a law enforcement perspective, John, what does it take to rise to the level of a hate crime? Is it simply screaming anti-Semitic, anti-Muslim slurs, or does it have to rise to a higher level than that? Engaging in criminal activity that is influenced by the hatred or disdain for another group of people. Remember, these are crimes that are perpetuated not because of something that somebody has done or is perceived to have done, but rather who they are. And that's what makes it so very difficult to protect against. And when it comes to the preparing and the protection aspect of what we're talking about here, when we actually are talking about congregations of houses of worship, Pastor Les Simmons, how are you preparing your congregation as a church leader for the worst?
Right. I think first off, our congregation is filled with folks that are from the community. Our staff and our volunteer leaders know who walks in, who doesn't walk into our our facility as well. But also more than that, we do have a really good volunteer security and usher staff that really are trained in conflict resolution, trained in de-escalation, and really know those relationally that walk in. So if someone walks in that's not noticeable, which we want the community to come to our services. We want those that are around us to come to our facilities and come to our events, but we also want to protect those that are there too. So there is a set of values that we really continually lift up.
Is it a challenge to reach that balance of inclusion as a house of worship and then trying to keep your congregants safe?
There is a challenge to do that, right? But I think when there's an organized effort to continually have relationship with people, to know those that walk through those doors, to also have training in the event of a crisis moment, right? Active shooter training, have a relationship with law enforcement and security companies, so in the event of an emergency, you can have that kind of relationship, or when there's an alert of a possible emergency. I'm thankful for the relationship we have with our law enforcement entities that when there's a possible threat, we do get notification. Our staff are on it right away.
How can law enforcement become part of that solution on a greater scale? Obviously, they're the first responders there when the worst does happen, but how can we do better as a group?
Communication, information is gold in this challenge. And remember, as you point out, these are houses of worship in which people are encouraged to come. You want people to come. It's not like your home where you can fortify it and keep those out that you don't want. It's very obvious, but you want to welcome people. So in that context, you have to recognize the fact that there are people, they're out there. It's real. It's sad to have to accept it, but it's part of life to understand that there are people who just based upon somebody's their ethnicity, their religious beliefs, whatever part of them that they hate so much, don't try to reason about it. Understand that it's there and be aware of the fact that you need to be prepared to protect yourself and your congregation from that kind of threat.
If there is a bright side to an incident like this, there isn't, but it would be the response that I've seen time and time again from law enforcement, from church leaders, from community organization leaders, and that's just condemning these acts.
Right, and I think it's a strength of Sacramento and our community too, and my colleague sitting next to me. God forbid when Tree of Life happened and we organized, and one day later we had 1,500 people show up at B'nai Israel. And, Basim was there and clergy was there from all over, and it was amazing. And there was a time when all these attacks were taking place. Our text correspondence between me and Basim was condolence texts, but we were there for each other, and the community continues to be there for each other, and I find hope and strength in that.
Awesome. When Christchurch happened, law enforcement called us immediately. They put more patrols around the mosque. Leaders of the Jewish community reached out right away. When we had the event at Sacramento State, everyone was there. And it just sends a message of hope that during these challenging times, we will come together. We will be there to support one another. And we've worked with law enforcement to do active shooter trainings at mosques throughout the region. You'll see now visible armed security guards at centers now. And we also do we do bystander intervention training for nonprofits to go spread that in the community. How do we de-escalate situations? So we're working really hard to try to be proactive, because I don't want to send Willie a condolence text. We want to get out in front of this and educate the public. And I think when everyone's out there visible, and educating the public about their communities, it does help stave off. I mean, I used to get hate calls, and then I'll just engage them. I'll engage them. I won't, I'll say, okay, you feel better now? You let out your hate, do you feel better? And then I engage them, and after a while, those same individual will call back to ask questions. Now they're no longer cursing, they just want to understand things. And I think that's what we have to get to, is just more educational programs, more dialogue out there.
Well, gentlemen, thank you for coming in today and talking about this very important but very hard topic to discuss. Appreciate it. Thank you. Back to you.
And again, as you heard, all four men say that they send condolences to each other when the worst happens. We'll be right back. Thank you for joining us tonight for Project Community. Throughout the year, KCRA3 will explore the challenges that divide us and the people and programs that are bringing us together. On behalf of KCRA3, I'm Lisa Gonzalez. Good night.